Hi guys, welcome back to the Nina and Sip show.
I know it's been a really long time since we've seen you guys, but while we've been away, we've been catching up on all our favorite shows. The Crown Season 4, Schitt's Creek, Emily in Paris, The Scam 1992, and The Undoing.
Okay, so guys, with so much new content out there, we're going to be reviewing some of our favorite shows each week, so do tune in.
So this week we're going to start off by reviewing The Undoing. It's a 6-episode mini-series of which only 4 have released. The show is based on the book you should have known.
I didn't read the book, but for this miniseries, it was the cast that totally pulled me in. The show stars Hugh Grant and Nicole Kidman, and I thought that was really fresh pairing because we're so used to seeing Hugh Grant in romantic comedies. So I was really surprised to, see him in a psychological thriller.
So the show basically revolves around New York's elite Upper East Siders. There is Nicole Kidman, who plays Grace, a therapist, and is married to Jonathan, who is played by Hugh Grant and is a pediatric oncologist. And they have a son, Henry, who goes to one of the most elite and prestigious schools in New York City.
So their world is completely turned upside down when one of the mothers from Henry's school, her name is Elena, she's found bludgeoned to death, murdered. And the story basically starts when the prime suspect becomes Hugh Grant, who is the husband of Nicole Kidman. And we find out that he was having a full-on affair with Elena.
Guys, if you haven't watched the show and are planning on doing so, just a quick minute to say there are going to be a few spoilers.
So a few twists and turns later, we find out, or we're led to believe that Hugh Grant might be innocent. But then the cops come to Nicole Kidman with footage of her walking on a street near the crime scene on the night that Elena was murdered.
So, Nins, out of the 6 episodes, only 4 have aired so far. And every time an episode ends, I am so sure I know who the killer is until the next episode. So who do you think it is?
Yeah, and from what everybody's been commenting online, it seems like everyone is a suspect. But what I feel, Sups, I personally feel it could actually be Grace herself. And I'll tell you why. Basically, the story begins when she, as a therapist, is giving out, all types of advice to all of her clients. And we kind of see throughout the story that she begins to embody those same issues. And so I was thinking maybe the story will come, full circle back to her. And she's always just so much in her head. And if you remember, there's a scene where she actually faints. So I don't know. I was kind of thinking maybe she's overwhelmed from what she's just done and she murders Elena because of...
Or maybe she's just overwhelmed because her husband may be a murderer.
Okay, fine. That minor detail too.
No, so, in the beginning, I did think it could be Grace, but they're not going to make it so obvious. I hope it's not so obvious. I actually do think it's Hugh Grant, coupled with Sylvia. That's what my gut tells me because he's too much of a smooth talker. When I look at him, all I want to see is Hugh Grant in Notting Hill and Love Actually, and, those beautiful blue eyes. But that's there. But I feel it's a front. And that's what it should be. But I think he had an affair with Sylvia and are trying to frame Grace for it.
Just a side note, this doesn't have anything to do with who did it, but I also read that some people feel that Grace and Sylvia just might be sisters. And that's because, okay, so I'll tell you.
Oh,
she faints. I was really shocked at this too. But just before she faints, I remember she's like looking at all the kids, and then there's like a redhead and a blonde little girl, and they're playing. And then she kind of just like faints looking at them. And just, I think before that, Franklin, who is Grace's father, is talking to Sylvia. And just the way he was addressing her, it seems like he knew her really well, more than just Grace's friend. So I don't know. I guess that's what people have been.
Another bizarre thing that I read online was that it could be Henry, Nicole and Hugh Grant's son, because they don't talk about where he was the night of the murder. His parents were at the fundraiser. His grandfather was also attending the fundraiser. So we don't know where he was. And he kind of apologizes to Miguel for no apparent reason. I, for one, thought he was apologizing to him because he was running and bumped into him, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I also feel like that theory might be a little bit too far out, too far fetched,
mhm.
only because I feel like he's too young to commit such a violent murder. But then, of course, we never know. Um, I think another person that we are led to believe that could be behind some of whatever the murder could be Franklin, who is
Mhm.
Grace's father, because he goes to the principal of the school which he donates a lot of money to, and he kind of threatens the principal. And he says something to the effect of, "You haven't seen ugliness yet." And it's weird because we all of a sudden, like, this secretive side of Franklin is revealed. Up until now, we kind of just thought he was a sweet father who is completely, supporting his daughter.
And then is the most obvious suspect, Elena's husband, who I think was a suspect for literally 2 hot seconds, but then they kind of absolutely forget about him. Nicole Kidman describes him as volatile, but we don't see any volatility from him. In fact, we see him caring for his illegitimate daughter so well, even though he admits that he doesn't really love her, even though he strived really, really hard to.
So at the end of episode 4, Sups, Jonathan is giving a television interview. And here's where, for the first time, we hear that he admits that he was in love with Elena. Because if you remember, up until now, he just kept saying that, "Oh, she became obsessed with me." But for the first time, he says that I was in love with her. And then, secondly, during the television interview on episode 4, he also says that he kind of has an idea of who might have done it. And so, guys, in the comments below, do tell us who you think Jonathan thinks has committed the murder.
I think the biggest draw for me while watching the show was the star cast. Hugh Grant, Nicole Kidman, Donald Sutherland, and the rest of the star cast, I mean, are just a force to be reckoned with. And they did not let me down one bit at all. When I started watching the show, I felt like it was a bit of the Big Little Lies hangover in a way. Maybe it's because Nicole Kidman's in there, but her characters in both shows are diametrically opposite, or at least so far. Who knows? But I just feel that the show has been amazing. A little slow paced though, but I can't wait to watch the other 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think for me, there were good hooks at the end of each episode, but I didn't think there were enough hooks. I just felt for a psychological thriller, I expected the pacing to be a bit faster, and I think that it felt more like a movie than a miniseries. I just felt like, I don't know, I felt the format was more movie-like. Also, one thing that kind of annoyed me after a while was watching Grace just roam the streets over and over. And I know she was in her thoughts. I understood that, but still, I just felt like it was just too much of her roaming in these fabulous coats all over New York City. Yeah, so I just felt like the pacing was a bit too slow for me, I think, overall. But nevertheless, I am really still interested in finding out who did it, and I will be tuning in for the remaining 2 episodes.
A few things for me that I would have liked to see more is deeper relationships. I feel, all the relationships they kind of glance over at on a very superficial level, like Henry's relationship with his parents. Grace, being a therapist, does very little to actually comfort and be with her child.
Yeah.
Like Grace and Franklin's relationship, for that matter. While, yeah, it's a very caring father and daughter relationship, and it's only in episode 4 that we see a little bit more than that, but it's still, I don't know. I just feel that I can't feel for the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the lawyer, by the way. I think she's just amazing.
Oh, Hugh Grant's lawyer.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm sure we're all still wondering who the murderer could be and what Hugh Grant is about to reveal. So episode 5 comes out on November 22nd, and then the miniseries concludes on November 29th.
I hope you guys enjoyed watching our review. And if there are any other shows you'd like us to review and talk about, please let us know in the comment section below.
Bye, guys. Until next time.
Take care.